Welcome. This is a tutorial for users of International IDEA's Electoral Risk Management tool. After you've started the program, enter your username and password. Icons in the center represent the three modules: Knowledge Resources, Analytical Instruments, and the Prevention and Mitigation module. The modules represent the Learn, Analyze, Act concept. I will first explain the Knowledge Resource module, which can be accessed through the book icon. The Knowledge Resource module consists of a digital library that allows you to learn about different electoral risk factors, both internal and external to electoral processes. Each factor is described through 4 fields: an introduction, empirical cases, observable indicator section, as well as data collection and analysis section. Also, a survey questionnaire is attached for each factor. These questionnaires can potentially assist you with data collection. Each questionnaire template is in Word, which makes it editable so you can make any changes. Factors presented in the Knowledge Resource module are identified through research, making use of thematic papers, election reports, and other publications. Each source details the link between a particular factor and increased election-related tensions or outbreak of election-related violence. Sources are referenced. If the factor is not comprehensive or does not fit your terminology, you can add new factors to the existing knowledge library or modify existing ones. To add a factor, add factor name, set as internal or external by selecting the appropriate radio button. If the risk associated with this factor is measured on a risk scale, you can set a scale range and scale interval. I used the word editor to enter and save text into any section, as demonstrated here. If the risk is not measured on a scale, it can be projected as a number. For example, number of incidents. To create a cumulative factor, I enter factor name, name it complaints, then click on cumulative factor. Choose internal or external. Click on the relevant box to define background and the color in which the number is displayed. I go for red and black. Here you can see how the numerical value will look once we start using the Analytical Instrument module. To modify an existing factor, first click on the Knowledge Resource menu and then Modify Factor. I can modify any of the 36 existing internal or external factors by selecting the relevant factor from this drop-down menu. I'll demonstrate with problematic voter registration. Here I can show how to change the scale, the factor type, as well as existing text. I can also reorder existing factors. This allows me to organize the Knowledge Resource library the way I prefer. I will now show how to import maps. This is the first thing a new user would typically do. To upload maps, I go to Admin menu, select Mapping, and then Manage Regions. In the Mapping, Edit Regions interface, I select the wider region to which my maps will be imported. In this case, I select Europe from the default world map. I click on Add Child Region and then click the Browse button to find the Bosnian shape map saved on my hard drive. I first select the country map. I select a name, in this case name English, then Save. Now I've uploaded a map of Bosnia and Herzegovina. When the database file appears, I select a name from the drop-down menu. As you can see, this particular map includes Bosnian regions. Once the shape maps are uploaded, those can be included when creating an analytical model. I will now explain how to analyze risks. The first step is to create an election and context-specific model. I go to File, and then click on Create New Model. I add a name. I select the relevant maps, in this case maps of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which I uploaded earlier. By checking boxes, I include the factors that I wish to analyze. In this case, 2 existing factors from the checklist. Remember, this list mirrors factors defined in the Knowledge Resources module. I set the range from 1 to 5, reflecting values of the risk scale. I have the option to set the weight of each factor, but will not use it now. I then save. Once the analytical model is created, I can access it through the Model drop-down menu, or from the home screen icon. As you see, several models can be saved.
This is the default entry screen of analytical instruments. At the moment we don't have any data, so we will need to include data by using the data entry interface, the Table by Region tab, Table by Factor tab, or the Data tab. I select the Table by Factor tab. Here you can see factors included in the model. I select poor performance of the election management bodies. Next, I select the regions for which the data will be entered. This is done by ticking the box next to the region's name. I can select all regions belonging to the same administrative level by right-clicking next to a geographical area name and selecting Select All Regions on this level from the menu. Then add date. The date added is automatically set on the day when entry is made, but if needed it can be changed. Now I can add risk values based on our measurements, which for example can include survey feedback on each geographical area. A useful feature in the data entry interface is the Export Table button. It allows saving Excel templates and data on a hard drive, so I'm able to copy-paste data directly into the data entry interface. For example, I have prepared an Excel sheet from which I can copy data and paste into the application. As mentioned earlier, I can also add data via data entry masks in the Table by Region tab and the Data tab. Now when data is entered, I will switch back to the Mapping tab to view data displayed on the geographical maps. For example, in Map Settings, I will select a factor and region for which data is entered by checking relevant boxes. Again, I right-click to select relevant administrative regions. The map is now displaying the data in the form of color-coded geographical regions. Color of the region is indicative of a risk level. I can also select a color scheme. For example, monochrome, temperature, traffic light, or customize it by clicking on the corresponding radio button. I can also make changes to the time period I wish to observe. You will notice that when I change the date, the color changes. That's because during the given period more than one data value was entered for the factor and region. I can also add static markers to the map, selecting admin and then marker types. Here I click on the New button, name the marker, for example voter registration disputes, select a symbol from the drop-down menu, select the size of the marker and then save. As you can see, I have defined 4 types of markers: voter registration disputes, polling station locations, hate speech, and gender-based violence. Back in the mapping interface, I can place the marker by right-clicking on a specific place on the map and selecting Add Marker. I can enter the title of event, description, and the relevant marker type. I can further set the time period relevant to marker or incident. Finally, I can change coordinates of a marker. I then save. As you can see, the static marker is now displayed on the top of the color-coded risk map, providing two levels of information. I can select or deselect individual static markers by ticking relevant checkboxes under Select Marker Types to show. There is also an option to view all static markers in the table format by selecting the Static Marker tab. Here I can make any changes to the static markers, from changing the date to latitude and longitude values. I can export as Excel by clicking on Export Table button, or I can paste data from Excel directly into this table. Finally, I can display data through the use of cumulative markers. I select Cumulative Factor Complaints. Note that the data can be entered for more than one date. Then I switch to Mapping. Once in the Mapping interface, I select Complaints Factor. As you can see, the map is now displaying a numerical value per administrative region and period. By ticking on poor performance of election management bodies, I can also display color-coded information in order to combine different data. For future reference, save settings. While maps provide a snapshot view, trend charts are very useful for understanding how risks are changing over time. To demonstrate this feature, I'll click on the All Available Dates button. This button automatically sets the time period to include all dates for which data exists. Now I can tick the factor of my interest and the area for which data will be displayed. Next, I tick the regions for which a trend chart will be generated, displaying changing risk levels during the given period. I can display the data using various charting options provided here. I can also display the resultant value by switching to Chart Resultant Value of Factor, which provides a mean value of different datasets. Trend chart settings can be saved for the future reference and easy access. Also, charts can be saved as images to the hard drive by clicking on the Save as Image button.
One of the principal features in the ERM tool is the Risk and Action Register, designed to enable creating risk alerts and monitoring of actions and results. To create or view a risk alert, go to the Risk and Action Register by selecting the Risk and Action tab. I don't have any alerts at the moment, so to create one, I click on Add New. This opens a box in which I can fill in alert details. I name it Poor Training of Election Officials. Then I set a time period and select the relevant electoral phase in the drop-down menu. For this demonstration, I'll select the Voting Operations phase. Also, I will tick the region or regions in which this issue has emerged as a risk. The next step is to describe the risk. For example, in the risk description, I will write training was not provided in time and attendance is low. Risk alerts are based on analysis generated through the use of analytical instruments. Therefore, I upload relevant maps and charts by clicking on the Upload File button and selecting documents saved on my hard drive earlier. Finally, I need to include a text suggesting a possible course of action in addressing this risk. This is included in Action. The Risk and Action Register keeps track of risk alerts, promotes follow-up and action by documenting actions and the result of that action. When it comes to possible action course, I can seek guidance from the Prevention and Mitigation module of the ERM tool. So for now, I'll save this entry by clicking on the Save button. The alert is now added to the Risk and Action Register. The Prevention and Mitigation module can be accessed via the home screen or through the left side menu by clicking on the Prevention and Mitigation icon. This module is designed to reflect the electoral cycle approach. I can select any of the 8 electoral phases. For example, my interest is the voting operations and election day phase. There are 16 action points relating to these main areas. 1. Improved election management and justice. 2. Improved electoral security. And 3. Improved peace architecture. All relate to actions that can be taken in order to prevent or mitigate election-related violence during this specific phase. More detailed information can be accessed by clicking on the text button. Each action point includes a short introduction and an empirical case where specific action was implemented. This can inspire you to write specific action appropriate in your context, or I can copy any given action in order to paste into the Risk and Action Register. Although the Prevention and Mitigation module includes approximately 100 action points, the tool allows adding new action points or modifying the existing ones. This can be done by selecting Responses from the menu and then Modify Phase. Select any electoral phase from the drop-down menu. I select the relevant tab and then use the word editor to delete text and/or write new text. Then I save. To explore these and other functionalities, I can select Help and then Index in order to access the user manual, which covers all of the tool's key features. Clicking on the envelope icon on the side of the screen, users can also send an email to IDEA with comments on, for example, tool materials, functionalities, and tool performance. Thank you for your interest, and we at International IDEA hope you found this tutorial useful.